It's the first Saturday of the month. You know what that means. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the Movie Nerds Club, where we will be assembling this month in honor of a very special holiday, talking about our top 5 horror movies that we would recommend for beginners. When Rachel pitched this topic, I was excited because the horror movie has become something that I've loved over the past couple of years, because I would avoid horror movies like The Plague, say, 5-ish years ago, but then as I started to get more into it, the more that I loved it, and the more into the minutia I ended up getting. We've all got to start somewhere, so when Rachel pitched this, I embraced it with open arms. And these 5 movies are movies that I would recommend if someone would walk up to me and said, "Hey, I have never seen a horror movie. Where do I begin?" Well, these are my recommendations. And the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 scale basically represents intensity for me. Number 5 being the most intense, and number 1 being kind of more vanilla, like please start here. Number 5, Alien. The original Alien, yes, this is the 6-pack, but the original Alien is a classic from every conceivable measure. It's essentially a haunted house movie, but in space, and it's essentially about a crew of humans against one really scary alien. I rank this as 5 because this movie is downright claustrophobic. When I first saw it, I was just in a ball. I was just like, "Oh God, please don't go down there." It's especially rough in the director's cut, by the way. But if you are brave enough, I do highly recommend checking out Alien. It's not only one of the best sci-fi movies ever made, it's one of the best horror movies ever made. Sigourney Weaver has a career pretty much because of this movie, and she would go on to do great things in film going forward, but this was where she got her start, and she turned out a rock star after this. But not only do I recommend it for Weaver, but I also recommend it for the horror elements as well. Like I said, this all takes place on one ship, and you feel every inch of this ship. Like I said, it's a haunted house movie, but in space, and you feel every inch of it. I rank this at 5 because it is very intense. However, if you have the stomach for it, I can't recommend it enough. Number 4, Halloween. I recommend this movie not just because of the scare factor, but because of the atmosphere. Even though this movie was shot in California, you feel like it is shot in Haddonfield, New Jersey. There's just an aesthetic to this movie that just says October, Halloween, fall. Add on to that the fact that this movie was made with pretty much no budget, with John Carpenter ended up doing the classic theme of do 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 basically on his own. And he made a masterpiece with the equivalent of 2 slices of Wonder Bread. This movie is definitely scary. There is no getting around that, and there's definitely some jaw-dropping moments, especially near the end. However, there is a lot of time spent with the build-up, and I think Halloween is an excellent masterclass in building tension to the payoff. I absolutely would recommend starting Halloween if you've actually seen the Halloween Kills trailer and you are interested in that, because the Halloween mythos is a long and winding road that doesn't exactly lead to a door, but it leads to just confusion and retcons all around. But if you want to ignore that, I would recommend starting with Halloween. Also, fun fact, we all know the monster in Halloween as Michael Myers. However, in the original Halloween, he was credited as The Shape. I'm not gonna lie, that's a super underrated name. Number 3, Psycho. This coming from the mind of Alfred Hitchcock, I feel like this is more of a suspense rather than a horror. However, there's more than enough horror elements to where it leads you in with the suspense, and then the horror just gets you out of nowhere. Not only did this movie create the first real twist in movie history, it also laid the blueprint for many clones afterwards. Also introduced the idea of the human monster. Up to that point, The monsters in horror movies were these otherworldly creatures or these mad scientists. In Psycho, the monster, Norman Bates, is just a regular guy, but that regular guy has a lot of, well, demons. And that's all I will say here. Like I said, Psycho is more suspense than horror, but there's enough dash of horror to where, on a horror list, I can happily recommend it for beginners. Number 2, The Shining. Playing off what I said with Psycho, The Shining is more suspense than actual horror. But there is enough horror to, like I said, I would recommend it on a horror recommendation list. It's my favorite horror movie of all time, actually. Stanley Kubrick just knocked this one out of the ballpark, even though Stephen King is not a big fan of this movie, and I can definitely understand why. Kubrick took a Stephen King story and remade it in his own image. I would recommend this especially if you've seen Dr. Sleep, because watching The Shining and then Dr. Sleep right after is just an excellent double feature. The two work so well with each other. And what makes The Shining so excellent is that you're just stuck. You're just stuck with these characters in this hotel in just nothing but snow and silence. And the common complaint with horror movies is people just saying, just run away. But nobody can. They're literally snowed in. There's nowhere to go. This movie's definitely a slow burn, so be prepared for that. However, when the horror beats hit, they hit strong, like stronger than black coffee. This is the horror movie that made me love horror movies. My number 1 was the first horror movie I ever watched, and I owe it nothing but respect. And number 1, Frankenstein, 1931. A little lore about myself. When I was going to high school, I took dual enrollment at the local community college. I loved it. I loved taking college classes with my high school classes, and it got me out of gym. Yay. But one of the classes I took was called Scientific Themes in Film, where we would take a scientific concept, watch a movie, and then we would write an essay about it. The essay part was but the movie watching part was awesome. One of the movies we had to watch was Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, but Frankenstein nonetheless. I had no idea what to expect from it, but I was blown away. By 1930 standards, even by 2021 standards, this movie is excellent. Frankenstein 1931 is 90 years old this year, and it's better now than some of the horror movies I've seen this year. Jack Pierce's makeup on the Frankenstein monster is haunting and just iconic. Boris Karloff, basically playing a mute brute, makes it work with his physical acting. Colin Clive is appropriately mad as the mad scientist. Without Frankenstein 31, I don't think horror movies would be in the place that they are today. We owe everything to James Whale, to Boris Karloff, to Colin Clive, and everything in between. If you were to ask me which horror movie should I start with, Frankenstein 31 is my number 1 choice. But that is all for me. What horror movies would you recommend for beginners? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your choices. Also, please check out my fellow listmates in the Movie Nerds Club. Their videos will be linked in the description. And if you're new around here, I'll be doing Scary Mania throughout the month of October. 31 horror movies in 31 days. Today I'll be talking about Hexen, a 1920s movie about witchcraft, and then the following day I'll be reviewing 1924's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's not the Disney movie, trust me. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way, when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam. I'll see you in the next one.